we think that depression looks a certain way. And I know on social media, we always talk about, man, you just never saw it coming, or they seemed so happy, or they always had a smile on their face, or everything seemed so okay. And everyone is just so shocked at a particular loss. And I wanted to express to those of us who are looking at others from the outside, or those of us that are that person who's working so hard to not give or share or put out how we may actually be feeling inside, that it is possible, it's very, very possible to still have happiness while still carrying that sadness. Grief and joy can exist in the same place. And because of that, it's why the care of each other and ourselves has to be a constant. And that's kind of what I wanted to address here today. One, and first I want to speak to myself and my own story and, say pretty openly that I've dealt with depression in a pretty heavy way, not just over the past couple years, but I've also dealt with depression in a heavy way for probably really recognizably since my early 20s. And I never want to minimize other people's formal diagnosis around mental health. I am not on any depression medication, and I have not been formally diagnosed with an ongoing case of depression. And I say that not because the medication is a problem. Honestly, for anyone out there who is considering it or thinking it or on or on medication for depression, I am fully in support of you, categorically, without question. I don't believe that prayer is the only solution. I don't believe that your pastor is your therapist. I don't believe that there should be any stigma whatsoever around getting the medicinal support to correct something that may be off and give you the extra tool that you may need in that moment to carry on. You are too important. Your role in this world is too important. And frankly, the responsibility that you have showing up every single day, my God, you deserve all the help you can get. And that includes if that help comes in a chemical pill form to help you stay balanced. And I know that for some people that may be a controversial stance. It's one that I categorically stand behind. And if you don't support that, I understand that may be where you are. But 100%, I will never shame anyone if they need support in any way, shape, or form. Just like I don't shame someone with diabetes for needing insulin. Just because you're built a little differently and you need that help, get that help, because it means nothing about who you are. You deserve to show up completely. But all that being said, I am fortunate enough that is not something that I've needed to adjust to or accept in this season. But what I can tell you is I have absolutely dealt with depression. And I'm fortunate that it has mostly been situational and that my spirit, my energy, and my chemical balances err on the side of neutralized. I don't want to say normal because I don't feel like that's a fair statement. But all that being said, in the times and in the seasons where depression has found me, it has been dark. Dark, 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 dark. And when I say dark, believe it or not, being Nicole Walters, the person who's always talking about granting others grace and looking on the bright side and believing in our purpose and chasing after the greater good, when I tell you I couldn't find an ounce of grace for myself, and it was so easy for me to see a world where my girls would actually be better off if they didn't have to carry the weight of having my presence. And I talk about this in my book that's due to come out in 2023 in very specific ways, and very revealing ways. I discuss some of the moments where I truly felt like I had failed everyone and I was a disappointment, and that everyone around me would be better off if I was not around. And those moments not only are difficult when you're within them, but coming out of them and feeling shame and embarrassment that you were even in that place, particularly when your quote unquote job, is to show up and be happy and be grace-filled and take care of others and show up in the world. It's a very difficult, and it can be a sabotaging cycle.